Hi, and welcome to the Unreal Engine News and Community Spotlight. So our first article today is an article by Ken Pimentel. He talks about 4 ways real-time reduces design to build process time and workflows. So the advantages of real-time is that you can iterate faster, get to different designs, and incorporate a number of different things more elegantly, or at least more quickly, so you can narrow it down and decide what you like. And he goes over a lot of these topics. Definitely recommend reading up on that. Second of all, our Unreal Engine Marketplace holiday sale is going on right now. We have over 1,700 assets on sale, so you're making this, our sellers have made it our biggest sale yet. That's going to be lasting through the end of the year, December 31st at 11:59 p.m. So if there's anything you've been keeping your eye on, I definitely recommend checking it out, or even if there just might be something cool on there that you might find useful in the future. So go give that a look. We also have an article by Sam Diter, so changes to VR resolution settings in 4.19. He talks about helping you determine your HMD resolution and then basing your game or your settings on that. And so it's a just short little piece, but really helpful to those working in VR and what's coming soon. And last but not least, Jess has written another article in her For Indies series. It's releasing on Xbox for Indies. They go over how to register as a developer, sort of how to get support, and some of your best practices in development for Xbox. Definitely give it a read. It's very worthwhile if you've even been thinking about shipping for Xbox, and they worked with the Idea at Xbox team over there to get that figured out. So definitely worth your time. Onto our weekly karma earners. These folks are running around asking all sorts of questions online, and it's really fantastic of those folks. We appreciate all the hard work that they're doing. So here we go. Zlarator with 880 points. You've been crushing it this last week. Great job. We also have Jin BE, Ego Studio, Every Nun, Jerry ASF, Noctmare, Master Gebjeter, Paperbag, Jackie, and Vahiva. Again, thank you all for helping support your fellow community members and answering tons of questions. So our first community spotlight this week is Ragtag Adventurers. It's a boss rush game, so you're pitting your 4 heroes against these horrible monsters in a shared screen or co-op multiplayer. You can do it on your own or share with your friends. It's always more fun to play with your friends, but looks a lot of fun. I love the art style. Just looks like a goofy, amazing game, and it just released yesterday, I believe. So definitely go check that out. Our second community spotlight is a project called Uprising. It was actually inspired by the Vikings TV show. And he just set this environment up, you know, in the longhouse here, and he built all of this within just a couple of weeks, and it just is a nice little setting. I love the work and the aesthetic here. He really captured sort of the aggressive Viking nature of it all, and so great job, Sebastian. And our third and final spotlight is a project called Teal. It's a turn-based multiplayer strategy game with simultaneous turns. So their idea here is think chess with guns. So you've got a variety of maps and you plan out your moves, and each person, you know, sets up their shots, and they all happen at the same time, and you're hoping you're going to shoot the other person. But it's 2 players competing against one another, and all units execute their moves at the same time. So it has 5 maps, a number of weapons. It's offline, online multiplayer and local multiplayer. So it just looks really neat, and I like seeing the different kinds of games and whatnot you all are doing. So thanks for joining our news and community spotlight. Hey all, welcome to the Unreal Engine live stream. It's our last one of the year. I'm your host Amanda Bott, and we have our wonderful founder and CEO Tim Sweeney with us, and Manager of Business Development in the Americas, Joe Kreiner.
Hey,
So
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
I'm really excited to have you all here, and we're decked out in our lovely Unreal sweaters. They're pretty adorable, actually.
Yeah, this year's really turned out well. I kind of like the red nose. It's good.
Yeah, it's a nice, sweet touch.
Yes, absolutely.
But we're just really excited to talk about, we've had an amazing 2017. There's been a lot happening. As we started recapping, we were talking about before, just going back and looking and be like, oh, what are we going to talk about? And it's like, there's so much that has happened. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, and going back as far as GDC, you're trying to remember what happened. It feels like it was 5 years ago. So much has happened this year. Just recapping just at the beginning of the year is a lot. So it's been an amazing year for Epic and its licensees. So a lot of fun.
That's right. Yeah, remember it started with Robo Recall.
Yeah,
the
GDC
game for Oculus VR, together with the release of the Robo Recall mod kit.
Yep.
And won a lot of accolades, and people just loved playing the game.
To this day, there's a lot of people playing it and a lot of interest in it. And the mod kit's been great. I think exposing what we did with Robo Recall to devs has been a huge learning tool for them.
Oh, absolutely.
So we definitely want to keep doing things like that in the future.
It's a perfect way to dive in. And I was actually really excited. I had the opportunity to go play Robo Recall at your booth at GDC.
Yeah.
And
before you joined.
Right.
Yes.
I snuck in the morning. I was still at NVIDIA at the time. And before all the masses had hit the floor, I was like, can I get in on this demo? I have to play this game. And needless to say, it was quite terrible my first time. But I love that there was the running leaderboard too,
Yes.
right? You had it at a number of different booths.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. NVIDIA and the Oculus guys all had the game running, and we were keeping track of who was the highest score across all the different booths.
Were you the high score for quite a while?
I don't think so.
No?
I think somebody might have put my name there, but
Oh,
it
they
doesn't reflect my skill.
Doctored it there.
Yeah, awesome.
But that was a fun touch, and definitely, I don't know. As someone that has always loved, I really love everything around VR and diving into Robo Recall and how natural it felt and the environment just all put together. It was just a really great experience.
Yeah, the team did a really great job, putting that together and just making it an amazing VR experience. I mean, to this day, it's hard to beat, from a shooter perspective, the controls and everything. It was really done well.
It's a great way to get started. It's much easier to learn an engine if you're taking a game that works. If you're taking a game that works and you're learning to modify little bits and pieces of it, as opposed to starting with a blank slate.
Yep.
Okay, now I need to write 100,000 lines of gameplay code.
Where do I even begin?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, very cool.
let's see. We also had the human race.
Yep.
So in the State of Unreal keynote.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we worked with General Motors and the mill to create a real-time car commercial that you could configure as you go.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive stuff. I think it was also indicative of the future of taking Unreal into applications that we never really thought of. There's a lot of really cool things you can do real time in the movie industry that we're just scratching the surface with things like that. This coming GDC, I'm sure we'll show more.
Hopefully. Would you like to see the video of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can
Do we have that
play,
queued up?
the human race?
Oh,
No.
we don't have it? Okay. Well,
Joke's on us.
I know, joke's on us. During that talk, we also showed Lineage 2, which was a UE4 mobile game done in Korea. I think the stat I heard on that was 1 in every 10 people in Korea had played the game, in South Korea, had played the game at that point in the year. So probably by now it's even more than that.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy successful UE4 mobile game, and really shows kind of a trend, especially in Korea, of high-end mobile experiences done in Unreal Engine. We had Project Hit as well, several other games that have been really popular over there. Really shows what you can do.
Yeah, that's right. In most of the world, especially Asia, where they don't have game consoles, we're seeing console-quality games for gamers released on mobile devices, and they're absolutely stunning. You know, Xbox and PlayStation class graphics on a phone with really engaging gameplay that's they're games for gamers, not these cute little puzzle games, right?
Yeah,
They're big,
absolutely.
complex experiences, and that's a trend that I think it's going to come around and affect the whole world.
Yeah, I think we'll see that a lot. We're certainly seeing some hints at battle royale being big on phones, and almost all of them that I'm aware of are using UE4. So that'll be a really good trend. I think seeing what you can do with a shooter and with these RPG big experiences on mobile. In the West, this year we had Injustice 2, which was UE4 mobile ship, and that was really popular. So we made some really good inroads into mobile in 2017. It's good.
And they're actually named the best fighting game, right?
They
the
won
Game
an award at the VGAs recently, and I think a couple other ones over the year.
Yeah,
So game was really popular. The other thing that was super cool during GDC is Randy Pitchford from Gearbox got up and showed a tech demo.
I know, that was an amazing demo.
Pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else the team can do there.
Yeah, you totally didn't announce a game there.
Yeah, he totally didn't.
No, it's just a live environment demo.
Yeah, it was just a test. I was at the Gearbox office last week, and I saw a lot. I probably can't say anything about it, but I think everybody will be super happy.
Is it cool, Joe?
It's pretty cool. Gearbox has always been a great partner, and they really know how to maximize Unreal Engine. So I'm really looking forward to that.
It's a great series, and they just always they do a wonderful job of showing up the capabilities of whatever technology they're using.
Yeah, that tech test they did was really cool, and shows how you could take the differences between UE3 and UE4 and really make a compelling experience.
Yeah, and a very unique art style. That's the thing about Unreal Engine 4. You don't see an Unreal Engine 4 style. Like, remember in the old days of games, you'd be like, oh, that looks like an Unreal Engine game. That looks like a id Tech game. But now you don't have that phenomenon because there's so much flexibility there for artists.
Yeah, we saw games come out in Unreal Engine this year all over the place. Games like Astroneer that have these really specific, styles and different genres from what we're traditionally known for. All the fighting games in Japan were UE4 this year. Really shows the flexibility of what we built with UE4. It's good.
It's really exciting. I can't wait. There's so many. We're gonna keep talking about more games, and I'm so thrilled for all of them. So kind of going off of Robo Recall, it's been a big year for AR and VR development in general. So we've actually started adding AR Kit support and AR Core support, so you can do a lot of AR development on both Google and or Android and Apple iOS devices.
Yep.
Our first sort of foray into that at WWDC, we had the WingNet demo, and that's Peter Jackson's studio.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I love watching
it was really impressive and got those wheels spinning of like, hey, as a game developer, what all could I do with this? I think that's just the beginning. We're going to see a lot more coming.
Yeah, that's right. Developers are doing some amazing stuff with AR Kit, and there are a lot of Unreal-powered games out there, and you can tell that it's really just the beginning.
Yep.
We're going to see games that really take it to the next level, combining your location from GPS with your real-world setting, scanning the scene. Really, what's been done so far just scratched the surface.
Yep. Yeah, it's mostly just people tinkering with it at this point. Of course, we did have, during the Apple press conference this year, we had the Directive Games guys show off the machines, which was kind of taking, kind of the Wingnut demo concept and making it, into a real game. Really impressive tech.
Because you get to interact with it.
Yeah,
now,
you can
right?
interact with it. You can control it. It really shows kind of, I think, what the first round of those kind of games are going to be. But, yeah, I mean, Tim's right. There's so much more that you can do because you're on a mobile phone and you have all these, sensors and your location in the world and all these things that people are really going to have to think about how that changes game design. And you can do some really cool stuff.
It also presents a lot of challenges too, right? Because just inherently in AR, like your environment affects that, and it's like, how do you develop and design for things that are so dynamic, and you're never going to know your space.
It's got the interest of several of the engineers here at Epic, and I know they're taking their spare time to improve the process and tinker, so it's good.
But it's a new medium, very different than VR, because you have the ability to put people together, humans together in a shared space, and you don't have to try to motion track, their bodies as in VR, because they're right there. You're seeing them, through the camera in your device.
Yeah.
And so I think AR is going to enable a whole lot of very interesting social experiences. Pokemon Go, Unity-powered game, introduced the world to some of the possibilities, but it's just the very first step in something that's going to be much larger.
Absolutely.
Did you see it? MagicLeap.com has some interesting news to share. They've been showing some hardware now, and it's really awesome.
Their big announcement was yesterday. Looks pretty cool. Can't wait to see more.
I saw a little bit of it, and I was like, let's see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what they're building is pretty impressive, and anytime you're building a new piece of hardware that interfaces with the human skull, that's no small challenge. So it looks like they've got some great ideas.
Yeah, and just wait. Over the next decade, we're going to see all that technology miniaturized to the point where it's just your glasses. Right? We're all nerds here, right? We all have glasses.
Yep.
But imagine, these devices containing really tiny displays that fill your entire field of view with computer graphics and merge it with the real world.
Simultaneously exciting and terrifying.
Absolutely.
We're game developers, right? We like that.
Yeah.
We're like,
UE4 will be the engine altering your reality.
We just insert some jump scares at random points in
in your life. You're just walking around. It's like, what? Like just what we need.
Yeah, maybe we should do that.
I just imagine you're like walking down the sidewalk and suddenly you just see this person like leap into the bushes and you're like, okay, we're all losing our minds. It's fine.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep. I am looking forward to using it at trade shows where I can identify everyone and what project they've worked on.
You got your notes.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, ding, ding, ding. But that'd be helpful. No, we also what was it? ILM X Lab. They had their recent.
The Void stuff.
Right.
We have a video on that. So we've been working with ILM and the Void on their virtual reality project that is opening up at Disney locations any day now. I think the one in Vegas just opened, and the one out in at Disneyland is going to open up in January.
Yeah, Disney VR experiences on site where they've actually built out rooms.
Yeah.
And so everything you see in VR corresponds to walls. You can reach out and touch it. Things, and all kinds of props like fans and things affecting your experience that really make it feel unique.
Yeah.
I love those.
Those
kinds of experiences.
You get to be a stormtrooper. It's going to be super cool. And because it's a mixture of inputs in your brain, actual physical things as well as the VR. It's a really compelling experience, and we've worked with the Void to kind of help them get the most out of UE4 and really make it a cool experience. We were just out at Disneyland in the Anaheim area for PSX, PlayStation Experience, and we went to where the Void is building out their thing, and it wasn't open yet, so I was so close. Can't wait to get to experience it again.
Yeah, so here's their trailer video for it. So,
I mean, you just straight up get to be in the movie. It is going to be a really compelling experience, powered by UE4.
I feel like it's the modern day arcade, right?
Yeah.
And it's just such an incredible experience doing that. And this looks so amazing.
Yeah. Looks really good.
It actually reminds me, when we were in Montreal, there's a team that pulled me down. I don't think you had the opportunity to play it while we were there, but there was a team, they did an Alice in Wonderland exhibit.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
They were on the base floor of the building for the dev day.
Yeah.
And they were working in UE4, and they built this exhibit like that, where you go in and there's an actor, and it's all tied, and he's got, like, motion trackers and hitting you, and so you're actually getting hit and like pushed around while you're interacting. And they're like, and because it's Alice in Wonderland, they're like, here, eat the mushroom. It says eat it. And I'm just like, and they pick up a thing. I'm like, am I about to eat something while I'm in a VR
Yeah.
headset? I'm like, and I tried to pretend, like, I was like, maybe I put it close enough to my face, and it wasn't go, and I'm like, okay. But it was
Oh,
such,
wow.
like, opening boxes and touching something while you're in a completely different world, but getting that tactile feedback in just the right way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the next stage in VR, right? Hardware that beats you up.
Yeah, yeah.
Your boxing game, like, oh, you're gonna really
Oh,
feel it.
you come out with bruises.
There's a lot of location-based, they call them location-based entertainment centers, but they're like little mini parks, and they're all building these really cool VR experiences. I think we're really going to get to see the next level of what that technology can do. And you're right, it's going to be like the arcade, because you're only going to be able to get that experience, full experience
Right.
there, because it's a mixture of the VR headset and real world stuff, and having a blaster or whatever in your hands. It's really cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah, the Hand of Fate game that Freema did up in Montreal as well, Quebec City as well. The demo that they put you on a saddle, and in the game you're riding on a cart, and you're pushing a horse forward, and they had an Adreno controlling a fan that would speed up with how fast you were going in the game, and you pass by a waterfall, it would spritz you in the face a little bit, and they had like scents they would spray while you're playing. So
Smell-o-vision.
Oh yeah. It's really cool
That's
stuff like that.
amazing.
It really shows what you can do. So and to be honest, those are the experiences that you really remember when you're playing VR, like really immersive things like that. So
Absolutely.
more of that.
Well, kind of piggybacking on that. So we actually had someone, so there was a project called Zayden's Wish. I don't know if you heard about this. So the Make-A-Wish Foundation worked on a project. This little boy just wanted to be an astronaut and go to Mars. And so they built a VR game or demo for him where they took him to NASA and had him dress up like a pilot, and they built this rocket ship that he got to go in and flew him to Mars,
so
and he
cool.
could meet a little green alien. And it was developed in Unreal Engine, but they also received the most innovative Wish of the Year award, just because this little boy had such this grand wish, and they're like, we're gonna make that happen.
It's pretty
for
cool
him.
stuff.
And so it's we enjoy it so much on an entertainment side a lot of the time, but there are so many other very meaningful or practical applications for VR that I love seeing those alternatives.
And we had the what was the Lockheed Martin project with the bus that they outfitted?
Oh, the field trip to Mars.
Yeah, field trip to
or-
Mars. Yeah, where essentially they took a school bus, and instead of windows it had computer monitors, and rendered the view that you would get if you were driving on Mars to these kids as they're driving around. In the school bus. It was a great idea, right? All powered by Unreal Engine in real time. But just a way to take technology and impact people's lives that, as game makers, I don't think we really thought about.
No.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. Also in VR this year, we had Michelangelo's David, and that was Chris Evans, right?
Oh, it's SIGGRAPH, yeah.
Yeah. And he was able to go. Did he actually go and get the renders himself, or did they send those to him? I guess it doesn't matter.
I don't remember, yeah.
They have these beautiful scans of David, and it's just this chance for you to go and, in VR, experience something that maybe you can't get to Italy or, have the time to get there. And you can still have these kids or, even adults that can go and experience and see these masterpieces that maybe otherwise they wouldn't get to otherwise.
Yeah,
and
totally. The other thing that stood out at SIGGRAPH was the Meet Mike work that we did, which was essentially, there's this researcher who took a really high-end scan of his face, and we have an animation rig. Yeah, they're showing it here. This is all being driven in real time out of UE4, doing facial capture of Mike while he's talking. Just amazing. The first time I saw this, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up because you couldn't really right away tell that it was computer generated. And this, there's been work even past this video that I think is going to make this even more compelling over time. I know, Tim, you really feel like what we call digital humans is a a really important direction for us to take, you know, to try to achieve that kind of visual fidelity. There's just so many things that's going to change when we get there.
Yeah, that's right. And the technology is becoming consumerized really quickly. The Meet Mike Seymour Digital Humans demo, required like a $10,000 motion capture rig for capturing his face, but the next version of that will just run on your iPhone, right? They already have great face scanning technology that works with these consumerized sensors, and we're able to put everybody in that experience in real time with hardware they already own.
And I think it's got implications for the indie dev community as well. If you look at all the work that went into Hellblade to capture the Senua performance, when that technology is available to all indie devs, it's going to give everyone the ability to just raise the bar on in-game movies and kind of cutscenes and the way all of that looks. It's going to be really cool stuff. I mean, Hellblade won all these awards this year. It was such a compelling experience. If you haven't played Hellblade, go buy it now. I played through that with my mouth open the entire time. It was such an amazing experience, and visually just shocking that it was in real time on a PlayStation. Just really cool. But this technology is enabling small teams. I think the Hellblade teams, was 15 people for the majority of its development. It's enabling them to do these amazing experiences that really capture lifelike performances and just do really high-end graphics with small teams. It's really impressive to see.
That's right. And it was a top game on Steam, right?
Oh, yeah. Top game on Steam.
They just went out and did this.
It really, what Ninja Theory did with Hellblade, I think, really shows that, if you're an aspiring game developer, that's what you can do. If you've got some talented people, you can hit that kind of visual fidelity. You can hit that kind of experience as an indie self-publishing.
Oh, absolutely.
They had a lot of help because they had lots of experience shipping games, but I think it shows kind of that these smaller teams are able to do really AAA experiences. That was a big trend that I saw in 2017. Like, if you look at Hellblade, you look at Giant Sparrow with What Remains of Edith Finch. They won tons of awards. The Squad guys with 100-player photorealistic, shooter, just impressive stuff. There's so many teams that have been able to take Unreal Engine and do these really impressive things. The Edith Finch guys, Giant Sparrow, like we would visit them during development, and they very secretive about what they were working on. They didn't really want to, give us the storyline or anything, but we'd be sitting down and having technical discussions. They'd be like, well, we need to have accurate cat physics, jumping from a tree, trees to trees. And I'm like, okay. And then the next conversation, well, we need to simulate a shark rolling down a hill. And then it was like, and then the next discussion was like, we need to simulate tentacles capturing a human. And we were like, what are you guys doing? This is crazy. Turns out it's an award-winning game. So there you go. You never know what you're going to get when you visit devs. But that was a really small team. I think they were maybe 10 people for the majority of that development. Really impressive stuff. We've had devs this year ship games with just a few people. If you look at Perception, that was one of the guys that worked at Irrational when that kind of split up. He formed his own company and built that game pretty much by himself with some contractors. Shipped it cross-platform.
Oh my goodness.
Really cool stuff going on this year. It was great to see, and I think it shows that Unreal Engine's enabling indies to do amazing things.
Yeah, these small teams can do so much with it, and whether you have a programming background or an art background, it sort of enables you to cross those bridges. At least like coming from art background and like jumping into blueprints, I'm like, you mean? I mean, I still need programmers, but it's like I can make these things move and go and do gameplay elements without it, and it's so good for small teams. I love watching. We've been watching these guys develop Planetrism. It's a team of 2 guys.
Yeah.
The VR game, and it's gorgeous. And I keep watching all their updates. I'm like, I want to play this so bad.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it's really wonderful how they can do that. And oh man, all the cool stuff. All right, big one.
Oh yeah,
Fortnite. It's been kind of a big year for Fortnite, I guess.
it's
We did some
pretty
things.
amazing to watch, actually. You know, we've been working on that game for quite a while, and the Battle Royale mode just being that much of a success. It's a really good way to finish the year, I think, for Epic, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The number of players in the game is just phenomenal. It's
amazing.
like 6 or 7 times bigger than Gears of War ever was for us. It's affecting so many people's lives.
Yeah.
And yeah, on Twitch at any time, it's like in the top 4 or 5. Sometimes it goes up to 1 when the right streamers are playing it, and they're just having a blast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. You know, we'll just watching streamers play the game, H2O Delirious and Lyric and all those guys. It's just, it really shows what you can do with the game and the diverse ways to play.
Oh yeah.
And what the team's built. You know, with Fortnite's really cool.
I think it really captures something special. Like I didn't normally play like shooter games or things like that, and I get so caught up in it, and I have those moments where I run in, I'm horrible, but I took out a team of 4, and I was like, yeah, and I screamed and like threw my controller, and then I immediately got sniped because I was looting all their stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. Like it's like I had this amazing moment, and it was so encouraging that it's like, all right, I'm gonna jump right back in and keep going. Or you'll watch the person that, like sometimes it's compelling to just sit and watch the person that took you out, right? You're either cheering for them, hoping that it's like...
Yeah, or hoping they get killed.
If they win, then it's like, we'll see, of course I lost to them. They won the whole game.
It's resulted in some really cool changes to the engine, too, and improvements.
Oh, yeah, the engine's been so optimized for open world now.
Yeah.
You know, you have these large vistas with huge amounts of objects visible, and it's optimized well on Xbox and PlayStation and on PC. And that's just the beginning. Yeah, we're going to be working on that game for a very long time and continuing to make the engine better for that case, which is, it's kind of the usage case that a lot of games are pushing.
Oh,
You know, games like Ark, Survival Evolved, have these big open streaming vistas, and everybody wants to build that kind of game, right? So it's our job as an engine maker to make it as easy as possible for that. Yeah,
there's been a lot of push towards these kind of open world immersive experiences this year. Ark is a really good example. Conan, just been a lot of games really pushing the limit of these large worlds, and I think you're right. It is something that we need to focus on as an engine provider, because that's kind of the direction that the industry is moving.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And I know if you didn't see it before, I think it was Nick Penwarden wrote an article or a blog post that kind of recaps a lot of the improvements that we saw to the engine because of Fortnite and Battle Royale. So if you haven't seen that and are curious about all that, it's worth.
Yeah, and the other one, if you missed the Montreal Dev Day talks, go onto our YouTube channel and check those out. Zach Parrish gave a great kind of how to best use Unreal Engine talk that really summarizes. So Zach and I travel around to the larger companies using UE4, you know, like Gearbox and those kind of larger studios, and that talk that he gave in Montreal is kind of the first hour discussion that we have over and over as teams start using UE4. So I highly recommend going and check that out. Nick Penwarden gave a great roadmap presentation that's still very relevant. Would definitely check that out.
Yeah, watch those YouTube videos. There's a lot of great stuff out there.
Yeah.
They're always doing awesome things. Let's see.
Well, gosh, we have E3. Oh, man, there was so much that happened at E3. I mean, you know, all the on-stage presence with Microsoft and Sony this year. You know, Sea of Thieves was shown. Man, are they doing some amazing stuff in UE4. Rare, you guys, like, the water is just, it just looks amazing. I've gotten to play a few times at shows. I really can't wait for that game to come out. Again, open world, you know, massive, well, lots of players, and they're building a really great experience there. We had, you know, even a bunch of indie devs on stage. The Darwin project from Scavengers was up with Microsoft. We had, you know, there was just there's Moss from Polyarc.
Oh yes.
The VR game for PSVR looks so good.
So did you get to play it?
Not yet.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I got to play it while we were out at E3,
Yeah.
and just like I was surprised because it has a controller, and I've always done like Oculus Revive, so I'm like, wait, I have a gamepad controller and I'm playing your game. But I got to the point where I would like reach out and try, I won't spoil the demo, but like
Yeah.
there was something that came after Quill, and I'm just like, I can't jump in,
Yeah.
because you're just so engrossed in that environment. It's like you're ready to save them. But you mentioned the Xbox booth. Sea of Thieves was tucked away in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much, and that was so long ago. Absolver
So
looked really
long.
good.
Yeah.
Ruiner. There was just so many things at E3 this year done in UE4. And then we had the Games Beat.
The Unreal E3 Awards.
Yeah, the Unreal Awards. And every year it just really shows off what's really cool being done in Unreal Engine. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we love having the chance to go and help spotlight some of these teams that maybe don't always get the light of day, and really be like, hey,
Yeah.
you're doing an amazing job, and like
It's certainly one of those things. Like we look for ways that we can help developers get the word out about their games. So
Yeah.
the E3 awards, IndieCade at
Indie
we
Mega
always
Booth, yeah.
we always sponsor IndieCade every year, and then Indie Mega Booth inside of PAX, where if you're a UE4 team and you get selected by Indie Mega Booth, Epic helps to pay for your expenses to show up at the show. It's us trying to find ways to use big Epic to help indie devs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we it's EGX, right? That we help.
Yeah,
that
we do.
we
Yep.
double your floor space.
Yeah.
So whatever you decide, you're like,
We
I'm gonna
make your
be.
booth epic. Yeah.
And we just love seeing what you guys can do. Like our community makes so many amazing games and projects, and any way that we can help you, like we want to
Yeah,
do that.
absolutely.
So we're always looking for ways that we can help support. And if you reach out to us, or definitely keep an eye on all these programs that we have going on.
Yeah,
Well,
dev
yeah.
grants, and we announced a bunch of great winners this year, some of which have gone on to get either ship or they're very close. So Tiny Metal, which was
So
a
that-
Unreal Dev Grant winner, shipped today. It's out on. I bought
You
it on
did
Switch
it!
this morning, but it's out on multi-platform.
Oh, nice.
And then the A1 guys in I think they're in Colombia. With Omen of Sorrow, they were showing that at PSX. They're getting really close to shipping. Game looks fantastic. A lot of success stories coming out of the Dev Grant program this year, and something we want to continue and really highlight the games we feel are just doing the best in Unreal.
And yeah, for those of you that are potentially unfamiliar with the Dev Grant program, we have this fund set aside, and you submit your projects. It can be a game, it can be tutorials, tools, all kinds of different things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a game project. And we'll review them, and we give out grants, no strings attached. Just keep making this amazing project that you're working on. So there's a submission form on our site. And
Yeah, just you can find it on the Unreal Engine blog, but it's just a way for us to kind of amplify really cool things that we see in the community.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Gosh,
see,
what
what
else
else
do
do
we
we do?
have? Yeah, I know. There's so much stuff. Talked about SIGGRAPH, but we did have the Fortnite trailer done in real time.
That still
at
blows my
SIGGRAPH.
mind.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
There was one example of it, but there are television shows being produced in real time now in Unreal, and the quality of this stuff is just stunning. It's as good as a Toy Story, the first Toy Story movie.
Yeah.
What was that, 20 years ago?
Yeah. Well, we had final frames in Rogue One
Yeah.
in this year, so that's pretty amazing. That just to this day blows my
When
mind.
somebody told me that when I was here, they're like, "Oh yeah, they took frames and put it straight in." I was
Yeah.
just like, What?
Yeah, I know. A Star Wars movie with real-time pixels
Yeah.
rendered in Unreal.
That's pretty
It's
amazing stuff.
quite astonishing.
Pretty astonishing. It is, and it shows a great trend. I think we'll see that more and more. I don't know if we had any final frames in The Last Jedi, but I'm sure they'll tell us one day.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But really, really cool stuff. And I think it is a trend. We'll see TV series done in Unreal Engine. Well, we're already starting to see those. And that's going to be an ongoing trend.
We had, what was it? Blanking on the Why am I blanking on the name? Zufaria?
Zufarian, yeah, it's in France.
Yeah.
They have like a little kids TV show that's completely rendered in UE4.
Safari.
Safari, yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, it looks really
Just
cool.
Crossing my strings and wires.
Yeah. Then of course we had Gamescom, where Tim, you did a dev keynote there.
Oh yeah.
I directly attribute all success at Gamescom to you being there. That was cool. Tons of UE4
but even
games.
better though, we had a llama that was outfitted. It was a mechanical riding bull that the team had outfitted as a Fortnite llama, and then we had visitors to this game conference riding the mechanical bull.
Yep.
And you can imagine game developers trying to do this sort of thing.
We didn't get sued.
Did you all write it?
It was good.
No, I
didn't.
took
I didn't get on it.
I sat on the sidelines and
You guys.
phoned people.
Now we did have, we had the mechanical bull one, and then on the side we had a loot llama that was, one of those kids' toys on the spring
Like
you
the-
just didn't get
yeah.
on. So I jumped on that and found out that the spring was designed for children. And ended up on the floor, so that was cool.
Face first?
Yeah, on the llama, but luckily didn't break it prior to Gamescom opening. But now we have that llama here at the office. I'll note that
It's not on a spring.
they've immobilized the spring for some reason. Yeah, that was.
There should just be a waiver for that, like with the slide.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
Very few people have been killed on the epic slide.
Yeah. Tim takes it all the time. It's
I know.
fine. Yeah. The Gamescom was a lot of fun. That show has really blown up into, essentially E3, for Europe, and a bunch of all the developers go there. All the publishers are there. It's a really good place to do business as well. They have a really cool business center. So, as an indie dev, it's a great place to show your game to potential funding sources, and it's always a really good time. So I always look forward to that one.
Let's see. We had.
Well, we've got
The
the
game.
PAX West, PAX East at the Indie with Indie Mega Booth. Tons of UE4 games there at PAX West this year. I can remember when UE4 was fairly new. We didn't have any presence inside the Indie Mega Booth. It just wasn't a thing. And now, we're getting to be the majority of the games there, which is great. It's really cool to see, and something that really want to keep helping them. I think it's a great program, and really highlights the success of indie devs with UE4.
That's awesome. Let's see. And more recently, we had the Game Awards, which we kind of touched on a little bit before.
Yeah.
But we were really thrilled at the presence of UE developers. There were a number of amazing games, obviously.
Well, Soul Calibur 6. I mean,
I know.
that was amazing.
I was sitting there, I was
right?
like, it's Soul Calibur.
And they put an Unreal Engine logo up on the
Yeah.
screen. I was like, yes. So that was really
definitely-
cool.
PUBG, multiplayer game
Yep.
of the year.
Yeah.
Very well deserved by
Yeah.
the team. It's such an amazing.
And they announced their
Industry
new
changer.
map. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got the desert map coming up. I mean, that game is just a phenomenon.
Live on Xbox now.
Yep, they're on Xbox. I think everything's just exploding for them. It looks really good, and it's a really fun experience to watch on Twitch as well. So they're always really high up on the Twitch streams as well. But yeah, I mean, like Hellblade won awards there. Edith Finch won awards. Lots of announcements. I think they gave the Sea of Thieves date out for when
Yeah, it's March
shipping.
20th.
Yeah.
I'm so ready.
Wait, that's gonna be amazing.
We're all gonna be wandering around with pirate hats on and just be talking like pirates.
Absolutely. When I played with Zach, like one of us just was playing the accordion, kind of, helping the other one, and the person that was guiding our ship was, we were like, turn to port, and They're like, I don't know which direction port is, and we ran into a rock and sank. So just, happens.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be great. And then, let's see, A Way Out was a big presence at the Game Awards.
Yep. Injustice 2 won Best
again,
Fighting Game,
yeah.
so that was really cool. Yeah, the show was great, and you know, right at the beginning of PlayStation Experience, where we had I think it was like 24 UE4 games on the show floor at PSX, and 9 of them were VR, which was really cool to see. I think shows Sony's commitment to PSVR. And you know, as a developer, so long as you keep the budget relatively small, I think that is an ecosystem that you can now make money making VR games, which is great. This quickly after launch, right? A lot of new UE4 games were announced there. The First Contact game, which the title eludes me, but it's a tactical shooter in VR, which looked really good. And of course, Moss was there, and Knockout from Grab Games, which is a boxing game in UE4. I visited them this year, and they put me in the demo, and I'm playing, and it's you know, very Punch-Out like. Really realized that I'm super out of shape, like, you know, right away. Thanks for that, guys. I didn't die. It's good.
There you go.
But they're getting close to shipping, so lots of really cool content out there for PSVR using UE4. And then, of course, you know, they had a great Days Gone booth there at PSX. Can't wait to play that one. That'll probably come out next year. So
that game is brutal.
Yeah, I mean, well, the booth
awesome.
was scary. They had like
The
freakers,
giant bear,
yeah, and a zombie bear, but they had actual people dressed as the zombies in the game, and they would like break out of the fence every once in a while and run through the show. Pretty scary stuff.
Yikes! Yeah. No, I think they've definitely done a great job, like setting the tone of that game and the feeling and the atmosphere for it.
Well, yeah.
Just, I feel like I would just be like constantly checking the controller.
Yeah. It's gonna be a really compelling experience. Again, super open world. I mean, they're really pushing the engine on that project. Can't wait to actually, you know, play the end result. That's gonna be super cool.
Awesome.
Let's see. Oh, so we can talk about some of the highlight of our engine.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo
Changes
Switch
over the year.
support, and the fact that Nintendo is using UE4 for the next Yoshi game.
That's awesome.
Did
First
you
party
ever-
Nintendo.
Did you ever think you'd hear that? I didn't think I'd ever hear that. That's amazing. I can't wait to play that. And man, we've had a lot of Switch success this year. Tiny Metal shipped today. Perception's out. Snake Pass.
Yeah.
Man, there's been a bunch of other UE4 Switch titles. That's been a great partnership with Nintendo. We really think it matches well with the kind of games that are being done in UE4, and see that partnership growing over time. Be a lot more games made there for sure.
I remember when we all were watching the Yoshi video, just because it was around E3, right?
Yeah,
And we were
yeah.
just all like, oh, you know, Yoshi game, and we're just all excited. And then like
Yeah,
at the very end, it was just like the cherry on top as the engine logo appearing.
Really cool stuff. Very cool.
Let's see. So a few of the big highlights over the 415 through 418, we saw you can cook blueprints to C++ now. So you're not,
Yeah, you get a lot of extra performance out of it. And
Yeah.
that's a feature that was built to accelerate Paragon's rendering
okay.
performance in Fortnite. And you know, now everybody can use it, and it's getting some good traction.
it's good for everybody.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it means an artist can build a game, you know, without any coding, and you know, get closer to native performance.
That's my
now.
favorite. Yeah, we've seen improved texture streaming, a number of sequencer updates, and you know, I think a lot of those really showcased well for the Fortnite cinematic trailer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, Sequencer became a real boy. So it's been great.
and then let's see, the volumetric fog update, clothing simulation updates have been huge this year. and then we switched from Apex to MV Cloth, right? And that was one of the big differences.
Yep, a lot more cloth usage in Paragon. By doing that. Yep.
Yeah, and there you see that our games push our engine forward in all of these different dimensions, and the end result benefits everybody.
Yep.
Everybody using the engine.
The VR mode has seen a significant overhaul, at least UI-wise, and just being able. That was actually one of the cool things about. We demoed often the VR mode at. We especially did it at GitHub Universe, and just people walking in and being like, "Oh, I can move things around and feel it," and even at GDC.
Yeah, on stage with Apple at GDC.
Oh yeah,
at WWDC. Yeah, Lauren Ridge was up there demonstrating the Unreal Editor with the Star Wars content.
That was a super cool moment. She got to be on stage with Darth Vader.
She almost got stabbed.
Yeah.
And I still think we're on track. In a few more years, that experience of editing in VR is going to be so awesome that we're not going to go back. Maybe it will take VR to get there, but just to be able to reach out and manipulate objects directly, it's so much easier than the old way. And I think, over time we can get more and more digital content creation tools right there within the editor, so you can build and sculpt your entire environment without having to leave.
And it just feels so much more natural too. And sometimes you're not like, well, I need the plant exactly right here. It's like, yeah, I just want a plant. And so to be able to just casually drop it there and then
gives you a good sense of scale and how everything's going to interact. So
and what that experience is actually like just as you're moving it.
Yeah.
And let's see, we saw our Composure compositing plugin. It's a compositing plugin, but they have a nice sample for that too. For folks to check out, it's easy to dive in and just see how it's all set up. Some media framework changes, improved rendering features in 418. Again, the performance optimizations from Battle Royale. We also had that photorealistic character sample. And then it's the guy that isn't Twin Blast, but looks like Twin Blast.
Yeah, it's a really good way for game devs to see how we're building our characters, and give them guidelines on how they build theirs if they're going for similar kind of effects and things like that. We always get asked for example content to show how Epic's building things, and I think the more we can provide there, the better.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the more we can share, the better.
Yeah,
for sure. I think, I know they're working on more samples for next year, and that'll.
Yeah, we've got some stuff coming. So
a few things.
Yeah. And and the next thing we've got listed just kind of on our scratch notes was the marketplace. There've been a lot of great improvements there this year.
Well, let's say it ended the year a lot better than it began.
Sure. Yeah, I think the turnaround times are way better now, and for me, I see how it's used by the teams using Unreal Engine, and it's a critical part of our infrastructure. Really enables people to prototype quickly and to build publisher pitches with minimal cost.
Oh,
yeah, Ark, Conan, and PUBG all
had
huge amounts of marketplace content. I mean, you can go through PUBG and go through the marketplace and see, oh wow, these guys actually got a lot of benefit out of this, and it enabled them to ship a game much sooner than if they'd gone out and built everything custom by hand.
Yeah, and I think because we make everybody agree to standardized terms, it makes you know that you can use those assets in a commercial environment, which is so important. It makes it so you don't have to yank them out of your game at some point, right? You can ship with it, and it's hugely important. Like you said, a lot of the more open world games have used them, just because the amount of content you have to build is so big. It enables a smaller team to ship really awesome stuff.
Yeah, and we're really dedicated to improving that whole pipeline. We've gotten some more automation so sellers can manage more of their offerings in the store, and we're going to be improving that over time as much as we can.
It helps to curate that just because you need that quality bar, and you want to make sure that the assets that are up there are owned by that person, and that you can actually ship a game with them. But I think we're doing the right things there, and speeding it up is just going to help.
Yeah, and stay tuned. There will be a lot more interesting stuff happening in Marketplace in 2018.
Yeah,
throughout the whole year, there will be cool things.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's see. And we have a lot of programs going on. We kind of mentioned we've already touched on Dev Grants a bit, but developing Beyond competition was a big success this year, I think. We worked with Welcome and developing and just seeing all those projects over the course of time. It's like you have a month to come up with this idea, and then you start narrowing it down as we get through the the various stages. And we just, again, it's another way of trying to build up smaller teams and studios and do cool things.
Yeah, we want to be involved in that kind of thing. And, you know, stuff like the Train Jam, you know, we always have a couple of epic folks that go along with that. We really want to encourage people to use UE4 for kind of these, not just game jams, but like innovative ideas and, you know, trying to do quick development. It's something that I think makes a lot of sense for us to be involved in. So.
Absolutely. We also kicked off our NVIDIA Edge program.
Everybody loves free video cards,
yeah,
right?
Who doesn't want a free 1080 Ti?
Yeah.
But it's just really, it's really wonderful. It's the community makes so much great content, and I just feel very privileged that I can like scour through and be like, this is awesome. Here, have this thing, and you know and a lot of times it's just these small teams making really incredible work, and it's this way that we can just try and boost them and.
Makes a direct impact. I mean, you know, a lot of times indie devs are working on older hardware, so it's good to make sure they get the best stuff. And we've got a great relationship with NVIDIA. I mean, it goes back years and years. You know, you're on stage with Jensen, being a rock star all the time, showing off new stuff, and you know, the relationship with them with PhysX has been fantastic over the years, and it's just another way for us to collaborate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as always, our game jams are a blast. I love just seeing what people, you know, you get the so much quirky content and amazing things out of a game jam. We also have had a number of people. We had our biggest jam this year with our November one. We did the 3rd annual Epic Mega Jam. There were over 270 submissions.
Wow.
Which is a lot of games to play, guys.
Yeah,
just saying. I'm not mad about it, but dang. And, you know, just all the amazing content they can knock out in such a short amount of time. And what's most exciting for me is seeing a lot of these games, or these folks are like, you know what, we're going to keep making our game. We had such a good, you know, feedback loop, or folks were so positive around the announce of, like, whether they are a winner or not, that they're like, we're going to develop this full time. And it's just like, oh, well, you know, we got to help you build a prototype or give you inspiration for a prototype, and then they're going to go ship a game based on it. And that's really fun to see. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They're neat. Let's see, we had some notable milestones. We hit our 100 meetup groups, or user groups globally, and we've recently had some requests, so we're rapidly growing all over the world, and people are hanging out in pubs and lecture halls. And
we hired a new North America evangelist who will hopefully be going to some of those meetups, Christian Allen. So sure you can find him on Twitter, but be interacting with the indie dev community for Epic a lot more in the coming year. So that's been great.
I'm really excited to have him on board. He's going to do great things.
Yeah. And we hit a milestone with the UE4 user base. It was
4 million. 4 million installs. Unique installs. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
4 million people using a game engine.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world than you know, the game industry 10 years ago, when it was an elite set of
when you were
nerds.
working on ZZT, did you ever imagine 4 million people making games worldwide?
I don't think there were 4 million gamers in 1991. You know, the game industry started small.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And there's a huge diversity. These are, you know, artists, programmers, designers of all sorts. There are also people outside the game industry using Unreal for architecture and product visualization and all these other things. And we're really seeing them interact in very interesting ways, building up a, you know, big content base, sharing it through Marketplace, and that's just the beginning. It's going to keep going from here. You know, we still have yet to have a metaverse like Medium, where you can go in and share your digital content creations with everybody with zero friction and no installation or anything like that. But I can just imagine what the game industry will be like in 10 years when these barriers are, you know, have been cut down.
It's going to be pretty amazing. I'm going to have a really long beard by then.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as the game industry does well, you'll keep doing it?
Yeah, I'll just leave it growing. You know, I'll have the AR glasses on and be very ZZ Top, right?
Yeah. 4 million. So does that make your hat jingle?
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
So I think we want to do a few shout-outs of just.
Well, yeah, I had written down some kind of just all the amazing products that came out in 2017 that were done by what I would call small teams doing amazing things. And, of course, you had Hellblade and What Remains of Edith Finch, but Friday the 13th from Ilphonic was super popular this year. Astroneer from System Era.
Astroneer is awesome.
Yeah, they just had a big update.
They just had a big update. They were #1 on Steam again. I think that game's just got so much potential. Really small team, too. It was, 5 or 6 guys. Initially, they've grown a little bit, but just amazing new IP that was just super unique. Ruiner from Devolver looked amazing. Really cool new IP this year. Foxhole from Clapfoot. That one's a little bit under the radar, but it's a 100-player per server, top-down World War II game, or World War II-esque game, and you have to run logistics and take trucks to the front with your friends and things. This is really cool. That one's great. Tiny Metal, Perception from Deep End. Solitarica was a really cool game this year. 2 devs, mobile card game, done in UE4, iOS, Android, and I think they shipped a PC version. If you haven't played Solitarica, you want to go check that out. It's super cool. Very unusual use of the engine, and the game's done really well on mobile. So that one's cool. Advent Colony from Mothership was that they were actually in the UE4 beta program before we released it, and shipped their game this year. 5-man, 6-man team, just really cool city builder, planet builder strategy game. I've played a ton of it. Really like that. They've added a ton of new content recently as well. Very good. We had Tripwire doing really well with Killing Floor, VR, Killing Floor 2, Rising Storm 2 this year. So those guys have been just kicking ass on everything that they're working on. Farpoint from Impulse Gear.
Yeah.
So that was one of the major focus points for Sony around the PSVR launch. It's a shooter in UE4, kind of like you're in space exploring a planet. Just amazing to watch that game develop over its development cycle. First time they showed it to me, I almost threw up. It made me completely white. As a prototype, it was maybe not the best to play it first thing in the morning after drinking all night. But man, when they shipped it, it's such a compelling experience and just plays really well. So kudos to Impulse Gear. Hello Neighbor from Tiny Build.
And they did a mod kit too, or a mod contest.
Yep, they're doing mods with that, which is super cool. Great to see that taking off. That game's been doing really well. Absolver by Slowcap did really well this year. Rock of Ages 2 from Ace Team. Those guys are a South American developer. That game's a lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, really, really innovative. And we had a lot of success stories of studios moving from internal technology to UE4 this year. Companies like Respawn.
Yeah, building a Star Wars game.
I know,
Unreal.
right?
That's pretty
it's
awesome,
amazing.
right?
That's been really cool. Been out there to support them several times. It's great to see. You mentioned Conan the Barbarian a little bit.
What is best in life shows.
Exactly. The Funcom guys had been building their own engine technology for the entire life of the company. I think it was like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And for them to switch completely over to UE4 has just been amazing for them to commit and believe in us that much. So that's been great. Double Fine for Psychonauts 2 is using UE4, which is fantastic. I get to go out and talk to Tim Schafer all the time now, so I get to be a little bit of a nerd there. So that's cool. We just had Housemarque announce that they're using UE4, which was super cool. Another one that may have fallen under the radar for you is Toys for Bob is hiring for UE4 engineers. Those are the guys that did Skylanders. So you should apply, but it also means they're probably using UE4, which is great. You know, another big studio that's jumping in on UE4, and it's been really cool to watch. There's others. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch.
Right.
But as it is a trend as time goes on. I think, you know, we're getting more and more adoption of studios that used to build their own internal tech and now look at UE4 as like, you know what? Why are we going to spend all that engineering time trying to duplicate that?
Well, it's hard to do both, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you're working on a game and an engine,
Yeah.
You can focus your efforts on one and then get support elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been good. Really great year. The engine, it just has been a fantastic year for us, and you know, really where we are from a point of view of the UE4 life cycle makes my job easy now because everybody's really familiar with it, and I don't have to tell people what UE4 is. They just know now, right? They've seen the games that have shipped using it. They know it's you know what the feature set is. So all I do is answer the phone these days. Be like, oh, you want to use UE4? Got it. Yeah, very easy. You know, other things that I saw this year that I think super relevant to indie devs. You know, this explosion of boutique publishers, which is great for the ecosystem. You had companies like Annapurna who published Edith Finch.
Oh yeah.
You know, moving in Team 17 versus Evil. Take-Two just announced their private division, which is publishing Panache, which is Patrice Désilet's new project. That's using UE4. Obsidian is using UE4 for a project. So that's another one that used to, you know, always use either their internal tech or other tech. That's been great. And you know, even Sony Music just announced Untiz, which is the Tiny Metal publisher. And I think all of this means more projects are going to get funded, well, which is just great for everybody in the industry, and particularly for us because they fund really high quality games. So it's been good.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So what are you looking forward to next year?
Well, and I think I've seen you mention this game on Twitter a few times. Concrete Genie from Pixel Opus.
It looks awesome.
Doesn't it look amazing? That team went from essentially a student-based team. And just has blown into this really awesome, game developer that's making really interesting new IP that's going to appeal to all ages. I think that's super cool. I'm really glad to see Sony still funding those kind of projects. I think that it really drives the industry forward. So those guys are doing great work. Sea of Thieves, of course. I can't wait to play that. Days Gone from Sony banned. I've just watching that one develop over the years, I'm super stoked to play that game. And one I just saw again recently up in Montreal is the Darwin Project. So Scavengers up there is doing a battle royale game that has a really unique spin and has integrated ability for people watching the game on Twitch to interact and affect gameplay, which is a really interesting concept. So they're doing some really unique things. Really looking forward to that game from them. And Extinction from Iron Galaxy would be the other one. Anytime you can, it's like, very much like Shadow of the Colossus, but different art style. But you're having to deal with these giant creatures and how you're going to take them out. Iron Galaxy's just got a great mastery of UE4, so I know that one's going to be good.
It's a lot of really incredible stuff coming.
Yeah. Tim, you got anything you're looking forward to next year?
I don't know. I've been playing so much Fortnite. I don't really get time for other games.
Well, we got plenty coming for Fortnite next year. That's going to be really fun to watch. Anything in the engine in the next in the next year that you're looking forward to? I guess we've got Niagara coming, which is a replacement for our particle system.
Yeah, there's a lot of great work coming in Sequencer too for cinematics. Really pushing it hard. There'll be a lot more improvements coming to further optimize Fortnite client and server. So that's going to be really a nice thing. And I think you might find that we have some other things in the works. There'll be some surprises along the way.
Yep.
Can't show Oliver. Right?
Of course not. Of course not.
I mean, I think that's all we had planned. Do you have any sentiments or anything from this year or next year that you wanna we haven't touched on already that you would like to express?
I mean, I just wanted to give a big thank you to the UE4 development community. It's been amazing this year and so much awesome stuff coming out. True pleasure to work with everybody, and can't wait to see what you guys have in store for next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks for choosing Unreal. Thanks for being a part of the community. Thanks for helping each other.
Yeah.
It's really amazing to see the amount of interaction between folks in the forums and all the other channels where everyone hangs out. Thanks for putting up with the challenges we went through with the marketplace early on, and helping us get through that successfully.
Yeah, they're really wonderful. Like, I know we always say it, but we really, really mean it. Like, the Unreal Engine community is so incredible and so supportive of each other. All the learning materials and resources and content created for each other to help support. So active on all social channels, and you know, we do the weekly Karma shout outs, and it's because people are in there and helping answer questions, and you know, we wouldn't have all these amazing games without our community. And
yeah, you know, it's one of those things. In 10 years, people will look back. It's like, oh, wow, you were in the Unreal Engine community. And, you know, we'll be seeing top game developers at the peak of the industry, you know, who are out there right now in the forums and the trenches, you know, shipping their first games and getting experience. This is how awesome people work their way up through the ranks and there's really no upper bound on it in the game industry. Yeah. We've seen this constantly, time and time again. A lot of the early Unreal Engine 1 community folks who did modding for Unreal and Unreal Tournament, you know, are now, you know, the Illuminati within the game industry, and it's cool to see that, and it will continue. And so, thank you very much, all of you, for being a part of it and for helping each other and for helping Epic.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you in the new year. It's the best hat.
It's super loud. See ya.
How long does that go on, Joe? That might get kind of annoying.
Yeah, right?